Welcome back, and thank you for joining and watching in on this. Is the third in the series of interviews that I have carried out the last few weeks with our Changing Cycles mentors. And if you haven't caught the rest of them, and maybe you're only listening into Mary's, it'd be great to have a little listen back. You'll get a real feel for Changing Cycles and who we are, what we hope, what our vision is, all of those things. So this evening, I am delighted to be joined by Mary, and Mary is, I'm going to say you're our youngest mentor, Mary, which brings, the reason I mention that in this space is one of the things that we've talked about in the other series is that there is such a diverse range of women who within such a small group, there's 5 of us, and we have a different, we've different age demographic, we've different cultural backgrounds, different religious political backgrounds. And, for such a small group, I think we tick lots of the diversity background, lots of the diversity areas within, what we would be looking for in society, which for me really enhances how we can develop our programs, how we can support our communities. And it's definitely, I think, a unique USP in the business terms. It's a unique point for us as an organisation. So, that's really the only reason I mention age. You're welcome here this evening, Mary. It'd be great for those that are listening in to find out a little bit more about you, how your Changing Cycles journey has been, and what your hopes are for 2024.
Yeah, sounds good. As Joanne said, I'm Mary. I'm one of the Changing Cycles mentors. My background is in social work, and from a young age, I always wanted to do art therapy. So I trained for 2 years as an art psychotherapist, and I've been working a year now in art psychotherapy with young people. Alongside that, I'm working in emotional health and wellbeing. So I think over a year ago now, I went to Joanne for a Reiki session, and I was speaking to Joanne about I'm not too sure what I want to do fully, I want to do so many different things. And I'm quite passionate about women and girls, like health and well-being, and, how a lot of stuff, there was lots of gaps in teaching in school that, I've only been learning about now throughout the years that I wish I knew back then. So Joanne then had said, well, I'm actually starting a program on, it's called Changing Cycles, and my eyes just lit up because I was like, sounds absolutely amazing. Can I get involved? So it was from then just got involved with Changing Cycles, started the mentorship training, and absolutely loved it. Met amazing people. Like all 5 of us are just it feels like a tribe nearly as well, and it was, the training wasn't like what a lot of training I've went through, where it was all PowerPoints, and it was a different type of training where on a personal and professional level we've like learned so much from each other and share different views, and it was such a safe space to like express those different views and like challenge each other as well. And there was just so much learning in it. It's actually very hard to put into words. But there was a lot of learning within Changing Cycles about my own menstrual health and my own well-being I've kind of, it's now ingrained that I keep those practices up, that I keep track of my cycle, my energy levels, and it's been absolutely life-changing, and I've still so much more to learn.
That's it. I think it's seeing, even I was very clear is possibly an exaggeration. I had a real sense with the mentorship training that it would be a journey rather than a destination, and that we needed to do the personal journey with it first, because when we come out into the world and start having very open conversations about subjects that have been taboo and that there's been stigma related to and all of that, it can activate within ourselves our own stories, our own wounding, our ancestral stories. So I knew, I was very aware that the space had to very organically weave a mix of, I guess, the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. We needed to have the structure of, the programs and what it takes to be a community-based facilitator, and how that all of the formalities around that. And yet it was also going to be a massive personal journey. And exactly as you said, of Mary there, the learning together, the challenging each other, the learning from each other, the diverse range of perspectives and viewpoints. as a representation of our communities and the people that we're going to meet and the people that we're going to share, and yet the common thread being that we, had very similar stories in terms of the lack of information that we'd had around our menstrual cycle. And the life-changing benefits of living more cyclically, which shaped our vision as a social enterprise, which is to ensure or to support a society that is much more aware of the cyclical nature of women, and that cyclical nature is integrated into everyday life, and that it's accepted and it's acknowledged even, in that world. So and all of the programs that we do across a variety have that in their core kind of center part. We've different ways of expressing that, and I guess I use expressing there. We'll come back to expressing
yeah
a little while. But with different ways of expressing that cyclical nature and connecting with it for each of us. And we all have our different ways. I think Surrey used a lovely description of us being like the seasons. We have some of us who are autumn, some of us who are winter. So, and in our own personalities, we would have our dominant season as well then as flowing through our cyclical seasons through our menstrual cycle and at the different stages of our lives as well. So, and, absolutely, I think we came together. It was so synchronistic, and it, your story sort of had just been the right thing at the right time, could be replicated out by Chloe, Sarah, Surya, and indeed myself, to kind of have the vision of saying, okay, now is the time, and let me trust who's going to show up in this space. And it has been, quite a remarkable journey, and it's lovely to actually in these interviews even to reflect on those journeys and how we've all grown and developed and changed together in that space. So and I guess I know when we talk about art, and I know when we've talked before about art psychotherapy, Mary, there are common misconceptions around art psychotherapy and art therapy, and indeed I had quite a lot of education to do on that. Are you open to speaking a wee bit into that space for us? Because I know some of the programs that we're going to be running next year are going to have an art focus, and it's maybe helpful for us to see where the difference, or creative focus, if not an actual art. Because I know for me, when I think of art, I think of painting and drawing. I kind of forget about the other expressions of art. So maybe we can explore that a little bit.
Yeah, I think when I mention art therapy or art psychotherapy, some people have assumed that I fix paintings, or, I'm like a therapist for paintings and stuff, which is not what I do at all. So art psychotherapy is a form of psychotherapy. So just like counseling, therapy, talking therapy, we would use talking therapy, like we would talk within sessions, but the focus is on the art. So the art is the main part of therapy. So it's all about the relationship between myself and the client and the artwork. So we would there's so many mediums we could use. So it could be painting, drawing, crayons, could be slime, it could be foam, like anything can be materials. And so a lot of it's to do with play, playing with materials and creating something about it. And it kind of, helps get emotions out as well, and different thoughts and different feelings. So it can be very deep work. So that's art psychotherapy in a very small nutshell. There's a lot more to it, and I could talk about it for a couple of hours, but that's it in a nutshell.
I think there's a space where people either see it as very deep work, and maybe stay away for that reason, or see it as very superficial work and don't engage for that reason. So there's I'm sure you experience the two extremes in how people respond to art therapy and art psychotherapy in that space. There's
I think it can be seen as, I suppose just making art, but it's deep in terms of the kind of mental and psychological kind of stuff behind it as well. But it can also be fun, and it's a way of expressing really great emotions as well. So I think when I say deep, it doesn't mean that deep in terms of all the negative emotions that can come out too. But everything's accepted in therapy. Expression of how great you're feeling about something as well. But yeah, it can be, the reason I say deep work is because people kind of see it as something quite fluffy and something that's just relaxing, and sometimes it can bring up a lot of emotions for people.
It can be quite profound, I think, and even from the perspective for me of stopping, it's this kind of stepping out of the perfectionist mindset, which is very common for a lot of women, and a bit like sport. We often have a story of either I'm good at art, I'm not good at art, I'm sporty, I'm not sporty. And we categorize ourselves into those boxes very quickly and at a very young age. And we carry those stories. So certainly that would have been one that I would have owned as a label. I'm not, I'm not artistic, I'm not arty. And through some of the pieces that we've done with you and some of those small bits and in conversation with you, I am in the process of rewriting that story and dropping that label and seeing it as an expression of creativity and a way to express and access perhaps aspects of myself that I wouldn't in other formats or other places. And that for me has been really quite liberating, actually, to peel back that identity and to not view it through the lens of good or bad. I love what you often have heard you say, and you've just said it there again, everything is welcome. It's all welcome in that space. And it is allowing these expressions to happen, really. And that's, we've used actually by accident or by, it has just kind of flowed through. We've used the word express there quite a bit. And that was I guess that leads us into some of our plans for 2024. And that idea of a container or a longer time program, which we've kind of used the working name, and that might be refined a little bit, called Express Yourself. Would you like to maybe share a wee bit about your vision for that? And then indeed any other aspects of your vision for where Changing Cycles will take you in 2024?
Yeah. So Express Yourself, we're thinking of a 9-month program. So it'd be monthly. And once a month, people will come together I suppose that the title says what it does, express yourself. So, there'll be different activities. Maybe there'll be like a theme every month. And it's just a space to get creative. And, it's I'm hoping to foster a very non-judgmental space where people can create what they want, and there's going to be no judgment. And just to make it clear, it's not art psychotherapy or anything like that. I suppose it's a space to express yourself and to create art, and just try different materials. Because I think what I've recognized from like doing different art programs, along with the Creative Witch program I done back in October, sometimes I forget, like I take it for granted that I do art every day, and sometimes I forget that people haven't picked up a pencil or a crayon or any sort of material from when they were small, from when they were maybe 4 or 5. So I think it's just really important for adults, especially, to continue playing and to continue making art. And so I think that space once a month, for 9 months would be amazing to hold for adults and children as well.
Absolutely. The power of transformation that can happen when a group connect together regularly, trust builds, not just between the facilitator and the group, within the group itself, and then the trust that we can cultivate within ourselves for expression and all of those things. And that commitment to yourself to say, that's my space for this week. And interestingly, I shared a video today on my social media channels, which was talking about the importance of ovulation for creative energy. And it referenced the idea that ovulation and that creative feminine energy is about so much more than pregnancy, and that actually it's something that's really fundamentally important for women to have that expression, and something that I feel has absolutely been lost. It's perhaps finding its way back in certain spaces. Exactly as you say, though, some people won't have had a creative outlet depending on career choice, or maybe some people find their way back to it when they have small children again, they might get a bit creative. And that form of creativity can happen through maybe baking, sewing, painting, play, movement, dance, writing. There are so many ways, making music. There are so many ways for that creative energy to be expressed.
Yeah.
And I think that's our vision for the program, is to have bits of all of that, because one of the things I know is a challenge sometimes is I don't want to be a musician, and I don't want to do an art class, and so it's not an immersion in any one particular thing that I would like to do. The opportunity to explore different mediums or different disciplines, or I don't know what the exact right word is there, to express myself is something that I am really excited about, actually, in terms of this program.
And as you were saying there, Joanne, it's not just art. It could be baking, it could be instruments. Like I think it was last year, I bought a ukulele, and I can play 2 songs in it just about, but I just love playing the ukulele, even though, I wouldn't say I'm like, I don't know lots of songs. I don't play it for, anyone. It's just more for myself, and I find it really relaxing. I just play about with it, and I think it's kind of breaking down those barriers of perfectionism, or kind of having to do something a certain way, and especially with different materials. Some people think, they can't mix crayons with paint, or or overlap them, and it's, I just kind of tell everyone, just go for it, and just
the rule book out and be wild and creative, and connect with that inner wild woman, I guess. And it is that setting aside, or as we've mentioned, the perfectionist tendency, having the opportunity to express, letting go of the rule book, and just allowing it to be. And I guess another thing that was coming into my mind there was the idea of letting go of end goal focus.
Yeah.
So that we can do things simply for the process of doing them. There doesn't need to be an end goal in your ukulele playing. There can simply be the pleasure, the purpose can be in the moment, as opposed to where this is going to take you. And in a culture and a society that is incredibly end goal orientated, where we do things with an end goal purpose in mind, even going for a walk has become something that people do to achieve a certain number of steps, rather than actually just for the process of walking. So I feel that this program has the opportunity to offer us that space to let go of the end goal, and to see what aspects of ourselves we might reach in a really beautiful, positive, powerful way, as well as a healing way, and a bit of kind of changing barrier, dropping old stories and things like that also. And any other, I'm excited about that one. And I'm also excited about some of our other plans for 2024. So is there anything in particular that you're thinking, now that we've done the 9 months mentorship, we've integrated that for a few months, we're kind of continuing, those seeds have been well sown, and we'll nurture them in the months and years ahead, I guess, because it will be a never folding journey. Are there other aspects of what you have explored so far that you're interested in focusing on in 2024?
Yeah, I think I'd love to focus more on like the educational side of things, about the menstrual cycle for girls and women. And I had done the mother-daughter retreat day with Joanne. So loved that experience, and I thought it was just very wholesome and something I wish I had, when I was a child. So I would love to get involved with that more. And also the Living in Flow program. I attended the Changing Cycles Living in Flow program with Chloe and Sarah, and I just find it very insightful. We got other professionals in to talk about what way the menstruation works, and how it impacts like even your bones, muscles. I could talk about it all day, so I'm not.
No, not at all. We'll be coming back to more videos of what we learned, what we've learned, what our key learnings have been, those kind of things as well. And I feel with your emotional and mental well-being programs that you're delivering, there's a really good fit in there for like our preparing for change, because I personally feel it's pretty impossible to have a conversation with a woman of any age, a girl or a woman of any age who has a hormonal cycle. If you're talking mental health, you actually need to be talking menstrual health. So, that whole space. And, I know we've chatted about you get involved with the Preparing for Change program for schools. That has been such an interesting space. What started out as 2 local schools, I think, 2 years ago, we're now into, I think there's 10 schools booked for this year. So there's real growth happening in that area. And that supports and educates our young people, because when they have that positive relationship with their body and an understanding of their body, that is actually so fundamental for how they feel about themselves, how they show up in the world, body image issues, mental and emotional well-being issues. There's so much that underpins. So I know that'll be another exciting aspect of next year for us as well. So I, for one, am definitely looking forward to all of this.
Definitely. And I remember even in school preparing for change, it was kind of taboo, or I picked that up, so I think it's great that delivering preparing for change and puberty and topics around that used to be taboo, we're kind of breaking that stigma down. So I find that really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we chatted quite a bit with Sarah around the mother-daughter retreat days. And for me, what really summarizes those up, and you've touched on it there as well, is just rewriting a story and writing a new story for these young women as they journey through, because simply by being there, that stigma and that taboo is now no longer in that family line. That just it's just changed in those moments. So we'll be recapping in again at another point, Mary. So thank you so much for sharing your journey so far with us and bringing us into 2024 with you as well. Thank you to everyone for listening in. If you've gotten this far with us, thank you. And do please check out some of the other episodes as well. And we have Chloe's coming up in the next week or two also. And then we're going to start expanding on the series and bringing in some of our authors for conversations and other women and people in our community who have inspired our journey and supported our journey. So we'll be looking forward to sharing all of those with you in 2024.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you, Mary.